So it's that day again. You woke up feeling fed up of how you're living and you can't just do this anymore. You drain your bottle down the sink even though it hurts you so much, like punching yourself in the face, but hey, you need commitment and you can't drink what you don't have. You call up everyone who you think should know that you're getting your act straight, but for real this time. You make it through the shakes, the nightmares, the crippling anxiety, and the severe depression with every cell in your brain working against you. You try your hardest, and then you make it. Congratulations, my friend. You've made your first week safely, and it's now time to maintain your sobriety. You either check yourself into rehab or just take the cheaper, more convenient route of AA and never miss a meeting. Everything is getting together. This is gonna work this time. But it doesn't. You just relapse for the millionth time. And you never understand why. You blame yourself and hate who you are for being a failure and a drunk. You never understand why things are the way they are. You dismiss the question of why and keep going with the same cycle until the same day comes again and you wake up fed up of who you are and drain the bottles, make the calls, and then ask it again. Why? But this time I have an answer for you, so grab a seat.
I'm Kate. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, I'm Christy, and I'm an alcoholic.
That's one of the first things they expect from you. That's what it takes to really start. To introduce yourself with just one word that comes right after your name, an alcoholic. You don't have to do it right away. You can wait. Listen to other people do it every day. Normalize the thought in your head and then say it. My name is whatever it is, and I am an alcoholic. That's how you really begin the process. You are expected to reduce who you are, what led you to where you are, every other quality in you. As a human being, it's all irrelevant. You need to say, I am an alcoholic, and that's your identity now. And then we proceed from that point. That's for sure also so you can show accountability and recognize your problem. But it doesn't make any difference that you recognize you had a problem with alcohol in the first place. You recognize you can't stop and you want to stop. You recognize that it's causing you severe distress. And you are actively seeking help right now. That's why you're here in the first place. But apparently, all of this is not enough for the current system. You have to erase your whole identity and make it all about this foul-smelling liquid that kills people using one word after your name. An alcoholic. Some views argue that that's the source of the word anonymous, and it's more about that and less about accountability, in the sense that you're nothing inside but an alcoholic, like the rest of the other alcoholics. Yeah, of course you can be anonymous by using just your first name or an alias or even initials, but no, not enough. You are an alcoholic and that's what matters. It comes before every single thing in your life except your name. Well, I'm glad they even let you say your name, so nice of them. If you lead a successful life and you're at the same time struggling with alcohol, you are a functional alcoholic. See? Still an alcoholic! You are just doing things besides being an alcoholic. Because that's who you are, remember? When your instincts don't allow you, and you first refuse to say I'm an alcoholic, you always hear, well, you can opt out of saying that. But when you refuse to say it, in practice, you are just a person in denial to the whole system. You are a person who doesn't recognize their illness. People will talk to you about recognizing the problem and not denying it so you can get better until you cave in and say it and become it. The problem with the word isn't just how reductive and demeaning it is, how dehumanizing at times, not even mainly that. The main problem with it is that it's not even scientific or valid anymore. If you have a problem with alcohol, I have news for you. You don't have alcoholism. It means you have alcohol use disorder. AUD for short, with a mild, moderate, or severe grade. What people usually refer to as alcoholism is severe grade AUD. There is a huge difference and it's not just semantics. It's a disorder with a very wide range of diagnosis. If alcohol is altering your quality of life in any way, you might have an alcohol use disorder that you need to address and work on, using a method that works for you. You don't have to be a daily drinker to start working on making it better. If your problem, for example, is that you binge every once in a while and that makes you miss on jobs, family time, or study, then you can address the situation by exploring your treatment options for AUD. If you have severe AUD or what people incorrectly call alcoholism, you have a lot of options and methods to get back your life again, with different end goals, either abstinence or non-abstinence. Yes, you heard that right, and we'll come back to that again. You can pick something that works for you, no matter what grade of AUD you have, and every change you make counts, and every progress you make, damn counts. That's how helpful, inclusive, and actually constructive this diagnosis is. It can save people who don't fall under the mainstream alcoholic definition from lowering their quality of life because of alcohol. It can save people with severe AUD without asking them to erase their identity and submit to being something they are not. Forever. And that's AUD. But alcoholism is different. When it comes to the mainstream idea of the word alcoholism, you'd find it really alarming. According to AA, alcoholism is an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. Let's agree that alcohol use disorder is basically a chemical problem, involving your reward system, hormones, endorphins, neurons, all that jazz. How can you even suggest that a problem with that chemical, physiological, and psychological complexity can be solved by spirituality? How can you pray something like that away? I'm not against you praying on anything hoping it will go away if it comforts you, but how can you make praying on it the only viable solution? How can you have a monopoly on treating a complex physiological problem by spiritual means? And how can you deny the possibility of any scientific solution over yours? How is your solution chosen to be promoted, recommended, and pushed upon millions of people over every new research and every new purely scientific solution? That's the part where I can comfortably say that the system fails people with alcohol use disorder every day by denying them the fair chance of exploring other options. Because remember, they also say the famous, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Why would you even try to change something you will never be able to change? This belief is the core of the failure, where you get to be denied your basic rights to explore your options and believe you aren't hopeless, killing this hope in you to make you submit to their current system that they deem the best one and the only one. Alcoholism is something you don't cure, you can't cure, you cannot change, something you're powerless over, and you have to say to yourself that you're powerless over. You take away all your power and give it to alcohol, the same thing that brought you misery. How can you break free from something that took away all your power, basically chained you to it forever? How is it even logical? Something that will always be in your life, no matter what you do. You will always run from the rabid dog, you will always fight the monkey on your shoulder. And they tell you it's the only way. It gets shoved down your throat and you're never allowed to think of any other options. Because there aren't any other options. Only that, and that only. They use genetic predisposition to justify this. Yes, you can have genetic predisposition to AUD, but what's a genetic predisposition? It just means that you have an increased chance to develop an AUD and never a guarantee that you're gonna have it. Just an increased chance, and if you regulated your environmental factors, you even have more control over your chances, as AUD is multifactorial. But how can you know that while you get a whole community of people with the same experiences as you, sharing the same stories you actually have? In a sense, they are all versions of yourself in different bodies. You get to hear those people continuously calling themselves alcoholics after introducing their name, calling themselves powerless over alcohol, calling alcohol an incurable disease that will stay with you for life. You see and hear them praying with the most fragile and vulnerable voice you can ever hear to stay sober for one more day. Even after years of being sober, they are clearly still not free of their alcohol addiction. You look at them and you just see that this is the best you can get. The best you can ever have is years of struggles and day counting, and maybe, just maybe, you'd be able then to regain the life that alcohol took from you. But chill. That's not true. You have options. What you don't have is this boogeyman alcoholism. You have an alcohol use disorder, you are not an alcoholic, you are a human who decided to get better, and we will work it out. If you are on any prescription medication, there's a good chance you'll see a label that looks like that. When you are talking to an obese person, you tell them not to starve themselves, or they'll get sick and gain the weight back. God, even if you're addicted to social media, you will be terrified to delete all the apps at once. But when you're dealing with people with severe AUD, you tell them to stop drinking immediately. Throw away the bottles, you need to get your act together. Even though alcohol withdrawal symptoms are one of the most dangerous withdrawals among all drugs known to mankind, you can get a unique and deadly set of symptoms called delirium tremens, which brings your mind to a state of ultimate confusion. You hallucinate and your body gets a convulsion, your heart might collapse, and if medical intervention didn't occur, your life ends. Even if you didn't get DTs, alcohol withdrawals are really painful, psychologically more than physically, and people underestimate that. You feel the saddest you've ever been. You have all kind of dark thoughts that have terrible endings. People can harm themselves badly during alcohol withdrawals because the amount of unexplained mental pain they feel inside is just unexplainable. And the current system tells people to stop immediately. If there's an award of terrible advices, I guess this one takes it. It's deadly, literally deadly. People will get severe withdrawals from their abrupt stop, and they can be all alone, or late in the night, or in a place where they can't get any immediate nearby help. They think they can power through it, and there's always a question. What if they couldn't? Who is responsible if they couldn't power through their terrible withdrawals because they were told not to have a single drink if they want to get clean? And if they did, they are all failures, and they won't ever get clean. Without actual medical supervision or even a schedule to taper down like any other drug, people suffer daily because they choose to quit cold turkey. And if they powered through safely, they face a very drastic thing called deprivation effect. It's when you deprive your body from the chemically induced reward that it's been getting for the longest time, all of a sudden, and your body keeps searching for it, demanding it, nagging you through what is known as cravings. They become uncontrollable for some people, depending on your original consumption severity, that you relapse so hard. That's why every time you go cold turkey, every relapse is worse than the other. You think it's you. No, it's not you. It's how you stopped and how your body is reacting to it. If you knew more about your body through better medical and scientific advice that actually informs you and educates you, rather than shaming and scaring you, I guess you'd be able to protect yourself, stay safe, and start your path of a healthier and a happier life. But it's systematic and malicious. Let's say you went sober for 6 months. You felt that you are finally placed right in this world. You are happy, sober, and healthy, but something happened. You got so triggered. Let it be something terrible in your life or something that's associated with your drinking days. And before you know it, you have a drink in your hand. What is it called? What is this experience you've just had actually called? And no, wrong. I can guess your answer and it's wrong. Sorry. It's called a mistake. But if you ask the current system, it's called that you relapsed. Yeah, the 6 months that you had, the full 180 days journey, doesn't matter now. You throw away all your efforts, success, peace, and progress. You treat your body as if it's an unforgiving, relentless judge that hates your guts. You have to repeat from day one. How is that day one? How one day erases 180 days or 360 days? Sometimes you hear people with years long of sobriety say that they are counting from day one because they had a drink one night. That flawed and illogical mentality pushes people to make catastrophic decisions. People say to themselves that I've been trying my best for a year and now I relapse because of one drink? No. Better make it count and have the full bottle today. And tomorrow I start again. And tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next month, and then you actually and truly relapsed. This bizarre mentality, when one slip zeroes your count, pushes people who haven't relapsed yet to actually relapse. It sounds really insidious. They keep telling you relapse is a part of recovery. It's inevitable. It's coming. Look out for it. Relapse isn't a part of recovery. Mistakes are a part of life. You can't keep waiting and anticipating mistakes in every step you take. Would that be a good life? You will be making a mistake even though you didn't need to do it, just because you are subconsciously convinced it's gonna happen. If you have any amount of days sober and sobriety is your end goal, I never encourage you to break it or have any drinks. But what if you did? What if life happened and you found yourself with a drink in your hand and now you have to face this? How should you treat this day? How should you treat yourself? You should see it as a mistake that doesn't take away your progress and doesn't set you back to day one. Your liver that healed during your sobriety journey didn't go back to day one. Your brain that cleared up didn't go back to day one. The weight that you've lost didn't go back to day one. Your social and family life didn't go back to day one. If you believed what you've been told and you kept drinking to make the relapse count, well, you will go back to day one. I really hate counting days. But if it works for you and you feel like you want to penalize yourself to make things fair, remove a day or a bunch of days from your count and move on and learn from that experience. Protect yourself from further mistakes that will lead you to an actual relapse. That is called harm reduction, and it's scientific and humane.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
Keep your sobriety, fight the good fight, but never erase your progress, and remember, a step forward is a step forward, and every step counts. I keep saying methods, options, choices, but what am I talking about? I made it clear throughout the video that the current system isn't the best one, and it's not the only one either. You have plenty of options, and let's talk about them. My first choice, and the one that worked miracles on a personal level, restored life and hope, unchaining people every day. It's the Sinclair method. You take a pill, a very tiny pill, called naltrexone, or nalmefene if you're in Europe, 1 hour before you drink. The mechanism is simple. yet miraculous. It blocks the rush of the happy hormones that overwhelm your brain when you drink, by blocking the receptors to which your happy chemicals bind and in turn associate drinking with that high you got at one point of time and kept chasing ever since. It's just a boring, foul-smelling liquid that gives you headaches. And when you reach that, you've reached the end goal of the method, pharmacological extinction. When the habit and dependence on alcohol extincts from your brain using pharmacological means, in this case naltrexone, it's called pharmacological extinction. It has a 78% success rate, and it can get even higher in some individuals. The highest I've ever heard about the current system was 30%. That was a very questionable generous survey, by the way. As you don't have to stop drinking on the method, you're actually required to initially drink with the pill for it to work on the long term. You will not go through severe withdrawals, as you are technically tapering down your dose in every session, until you are safely weaned off of a very dangerous drug you've consumed for years. On TSM, you choose your own path. Think of it as a choose your own adventure kind of thing. If you want to moderate, if you want to just drink when you have to in social occasions, or you want to abstain fully, it works perfectly. Sounds like voodoo mojo, I know. It's not. It's scientifically proven. All the links of the research are in the description. There's a book on it too. That's for a change, not a spiritual book with steps to do over and over again for the rest of your life. It's an actual medical book that tells you how the method works, in vivid scientific details. It's called The Cure for Alcoholism by Dr. Roy Escapa. What if you don't want to do books and want to know more about the Sinclair method? Well, you can hop on the Thrive Community YouTube channel with the beautiful creator Katie that introduced thousands of people to the method through her videos and saved lives and still actively doing so. Oh, bless her soul. You can also watch this documentary, One Little Pill, by actress Claudia Christian, who had a whole TEDx talk about her own experience with the method. You can also check Raya Health for more resources, and also consult your physician for all the drug treatments out there. Naltrexone is not the only one. Okay, so what if TSM is not for you? Well, how about HAMS? Harm reduction, abstinence, and moderation support. It's a community revolved about reducing any harm that can come out of alcohol consumption, no matter what your end goal was. Their articles are, for me personally, the best well-researched resource for AUD, perhaps on the internet. They provide you with all the information you might need to stay safe while using or stopping, how to taper down safely, what's the safest daily consumption, how to modify your attitude and change your overall relationship to alcohol. Everything about you getting better, and less about everyone else telling you how being miserable is the only way. HAMS is not for you? Well, we are not short of methods. How about SMART? SMART Recovery is a support group with a different approach than the conventional one. It actually works to give you the power over your struggles and not take it away from you, using valid psychotherapy like CBT and coping mechanisms. It's interesting. Check it out. Okay, what about if you're so crazy about the conventional structure and you need steps to feel things are getting real? Well, okay, we have for you, moderation management. You have 9 steps, but it's non-judgmental, secular, and different. Worth a try for people who love their steps. You can also read those books that are extremely insightful and change a lot of people's view about their own path. At the end of this roller coaster, I need you to know that you shouldn't demean yourself to get better. You should believe that better is better, and every step you take towards a better life leads you to a better life. And always explore your options, no matter what they say and how much they deny you the right of knowing your options. Because options save lives. And as my channel's name suggests, everything in life is just a point of view. Subscribe for more point of views.